First I wanted to say I'm very sorry for taking so long to drop another video. Went through some burnout and work was stressing me out, but you know what? It is what it is. Number two, I finally figured out this camera and mic thing, and I feel stupid that it took me this long to figure it out. But hey, at least I got it working. So now I get to be able to show myself in my videos a little more, which is, well, you let me know how you feel about it. But I'm here to talk about Sega's really questionable decision about delisting all of their classic games. So recently, Sega announced that they will be delisting over 60 games from digital stores such as Steam, the Xbox Marketplace, all of those places. All of the games that are featured in the SEGA Genesis Classic Collection bundle are affected by this, including the games that are in the Dreamcast bundle such as SEGA Bass Fishing, Space Channel 5 Part 2, Crazy Taxi, and the original Jet Set Radio. NiCE is also part of this delisting as well. These games will be delisted on December 6th of 2024. Now, why is Sega delisting a bunch of their classic games?
I don't know.
This is something I can't let slide because this is genuinely upsetting news. Preservation of old games is already hard enough, with it becoming harder and harder to be able to play these older games without companies giving us alternatives to be able to play these games. Now, Sega has delisted stuff before. Remember when Sonic Origins was coming out and they delisted all the standalone versions of the classic Sonic platformers? They did that because, in their minds, Sonic Origins was going to be the definitive version to play these classic Sonic games. Of course, that wasn't the case, and Sonic Origins is a pretty lackluster compilation overall that started with a whole lot of issues. That's besides the point though. There were 3 other Genesis Sonic games that didn't make it into the Origins Plus package like the Game Gear games did. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Sonic Spinball, and Sonic 3D Blast. Those games were part of the Genesis collection separately, but now those games are going to be delisted, and since they're not in Sonic Origins Plus, there's no way to play these games on modern platforms. Well, you know what? That's okay. As long as you still have your copy of Sonic Mega Collection, you can still play 3D Blast, Spinball, and Mean Bean Machine whenever you want to. I do it myself, but my Nintendo Wii has been dead for years, so I practically have nothing else physical to play it on. Not only that, but Sonic the Fighters is also getting the chopping block here and getting delisted, which is insane because that game actually has a community behind it, and the HD version on the Xbox 360 is the definitive way to play the game. Now, anyone interested in wanting to pick up the game won't be able to try it for themselves, unless they buy Yakuza: The Man Who Erased His Name or Lost Judgment, which is kind of funny when you think about it. I wish I could go into detail about all of the Sega Genesis games that we're losing, but I haven't played most of those games. However, it still sucks all the same. I do recognize that some of these games are also part of Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, so if you were lucky enough to still have that in your library, then you at least have a way to play some of those games that we're losing on Steam. I do want to focus on the big losses here in terms of this delisting: NiCE and Dreams and the Dreamcast Collection. NiCE and Dreams really only had a re-release on the PS2, but that was Japanese exclusive. It did eventually come to the Xbox 360 and Steam like a lot of the other Sega Dreamcast games did. To my knowledge, there are no other ways from the 6th and 7th generational consoles that would allow you to play NiCE, unless you just so happen to get that Japanese PS2 version. Space Channel 5 is the most interesting one here for me because this is Space Channel 5 Part 2 that's getting delisted. Even on a 7th gen console and to the transition to Steam, they have only ported Part 2 while Part 1 is still kind of left on the original Dreamcast and the PS2 port. So we already was left with 50% of the package to begin with, but now we're about to lose that 50%. Now, we have to rely on the PS2 versions to play both parts of Space Channel 5, which just kinda sucks. Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio being on this list is insane, but I think I kinda get the reason why. These 2 IPs are getting reboots in the future. Maybe Sega is like, we're coming out with these brand new shiny versions of the games. There's no need for these old inferior versions. Of course I could be wrong and they just feel like removing them because they can. Now, I get it, these versions of Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio may not be the greatest, with Crazy Taxi having the entire soundtrack replaced and Jet Set Radio is filled with some weird bugs. However, these were the most accessible versions of these games. Jet Set Radio getting delisted annoys me the most because this is the only version of the game that has the free moving camera, which was the best change they ever made and actually made the platforming manageable. It's crazy now that these series will now have both of the games stuck on the 6th gen console for new people who want to try these games. Crazy Taxi 2 and Crazy Taxi 3 hasn't escaped the clutches of the PS2, and I've yapped repeatedly about how Jet Set Radio Future has been stuck on the OG Xbox with no chance of a re-release. Why, Sega? Why do you not want us to play your older games? Now there may be potential reason why Sega is doing this, and we may not be losing these games completely. Sega could potentially be making a new compilation package featuring all these classic games in one place. Which, sure, I'd be okay with that. If they're gonna put all these delisted games in a brand new compilation with some enhancement and changes, that'd be nice. However, I'ma be honest, I think this is probably just happening because they can do this and they don't want us to play these games anymore. I wanna be wrong about this, but this isn't giving me much hope since we don't know where this will lead or if it will lead to anything else. Game preservation is looking grimmer and grimmer. So, if there's any games you want to grab before this happens, then get it now. Who knows what else they'll remove next. More of the story, emulation is completely fair. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and comment what you thought about it. It greatly helps the algorithm pick up my videos so other people can see it. And if you're interested in seeing more of my videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you can get a notification on my next upload. And be sure to follow me on my Blue Sky because that's where I'm mostly going to be active now. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.